Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. I can't tell you how touched I am to have the opportunity to speak with Laurie from Ukraine. What a special conversation that was, and I pray that they can find peace, and that Laurie and the people she works with, it's an acceptable outcome for them, where all the fighting that they've been through is not to no avail. God bless them. Okay, let's shift gears now. I had Hunter Dawkins, the SuperTalk opinion contributor and also the publisher, owner, CEO of the Gazebo Gazette here in Coastal Mississippi. Had him on recently. I wanted to circle back with him to talk about some issues we didn't get a chance to talk about, like upcoming elections and debates that are coming up, and lots of stuff that we can talk about. Without any further ado, let me welcome my friend Hunter Dawkins back. Hunter, how are you?
Ricky, I'm doing well. Also, I wanted to tell you, I've seen a pretty outstanding job from you getting back to the publisher style of your life, put in some columns at SuperTalk. You've done a great job.
Well, thank you, man. Listen, it's a pent-up need to talk about what I see happening. And what's interesting is, I've written a couple columns, one about Doge and then one about the changing media landscape. And I mentioned recently that people have been really engaged. I checked the numbers this morning, and the engagement on those couple of columns this is just my personal Facebook page. I'm going over there now to look at it. Is loading now. It's up to 80,000 people engaged, 80,449 people engaged, and interesting. So I had almost 5,000 followers. I've lost about 36 followers. I'm putting a stake in the dirt how I feel about certain things, and some people, they don't want to read it, which is cool. That's the beauty of my personal Facebook page. I mean, they can follow me or not. That's certainly their prerogative. But I'm just weighing in.
The publisher lifestyle. That's exactly the way
it is. It is. I had it on X. I had a guy post a picture of Luigi and told me he was going to Luigi me. I mean, there's some crazy people out there. But that's look, true. And there's a lot of misinformation and crap to sort through on X, but at least I get the chance to sort through it. I don't have somebody else being the gatekeeper for it. And I've enjoyed, like, one of the beauties, like I had this conversation with Laurie off the air, and one of the things that I pointed out was that I have a sense of how Ukrainians feel about the peace talks that are underway. And they just want to make sure that their voices are heard, okay? And I know this from literally interviews or posts that have been made by young Ukrainians on the front line, man, in their military, uniforms on, posting on X that they don't want to give in to Putin. And I have an understanding of that. And not because some media somewhere gatekeeper and provide that information to me. It's because someone posted it from the front line. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to sort through all the mess, but still get a good perspective on what's happening. And I like that. And I learn a lot from that as well. So, and I still pay attention closely to traditional media. So it's been helpful to me. And I decided to share some of my points of view. And yeah, you're right. We're used to it. You know what it looks like.
That's the truth.
So listen, municipal elections are coming to Harrison County, and I have actually Farrell Allman coming on next Monday, and we're going to talk about the work of the Gulfport Municipal Elections Committee. Great volunteers. I mean, they have like 75 people that are volunteers beyond the commission that are engaged in that process, and we're going to talk a lot about it, and he's going to urge people to volunteer to sort of be involved in the democratic process. But he repeatedly mentioned Harrison County and their efforts and what they do. So why don't you kind of bring us up to date on that?
Well, of course, I'm definitely getting some feedback from some people in Gulfport. I've had a couple of candidates already mention to me they were interested in taking out ads because, my paper not only covers Pass Christian, Long Beach, but Gulfport, Biloxi, D'Iberville now being the Harrison County newspaper, the weekly Harrison County newspaper. and I've had some feedback from them. I have a meeting with the city of Biloxi today where I have to go discuss a potential debate of their interest, to have an alderman debate. I'm hosting the very first, well, it's not our first, but on the first day of March, Saturday, the Long Beach political debate. All the aldermen and the mayor candidates are all going to be there to, at least I've had pretty much close to 80% of them that have committed to being there, and they're going to speak what their whole ideas are about the city, and we're going to ask some questions, and I'm going to have a bunch of the kids who are going to be 18-year-old seniors who are going to be finishing up. They're going to be part of their active community. They're going to be asking questions to those candidates. Then the next week, March the 8th, I'm hosting the Pascal Shan political debate also. And so back to back to back, it's being a part of a community. And I think I owe it as a local newspaper to provide that opportunity to the citizens to hear and see what they're going to say from candidates.
Well, listen, man, most democracy happens on a very hyper local level.
Yeah.
The truth is, even a national presidential election is very local because elections play out locally, and people have their points of view, and this is their opportunity to participate in the democratic process. But when you're a newspaper, and man, I so appreciate this, you have the opportunity to convene conversations. I love, like I had the opportunity to moderate the Ocean Springs Mayor Forum recently, and only two candidates. There's four candidates. Two showed up. Two decided not to participate, and I felt like that was a slap in the face to the organizers. It was a slap in the face to the voters. Any chance that a local candidate has an opportunity to go compare and contrast with the people they're running against, that's great for voters. And the more of that we can have, the better. And you have a responsibility, and you feel it and you act on it, the responsibility to be a convener of these important conversations so the voters can decide what do they want their city or their county or whatever it might be that they're voting on, what do they want to be in the future. And this is important.
Well, and that's why I have 3 panels set up. I have a residents questions, and then I have the school students questions. Then I have a live audience questions where anybody that wants to participate and they want to do it in a regular democratic process, they're certainly welcome to. And I also make sure that it's on live stream on YouTube and will be shared on my website. So if you can't go, you can watch and you can be a part of this process. And I think that is an active part of the community and what they're looking for.
I think it's awesome, man. Keep up the good work. Speaking of the democratic process is taking place in the legislature as we speak. Headline from SuperTalk.fm: Senate and House headed toward tax reform impasse. Will there be a compromise? It's going to be very interesting to watch this one play out. What's your current thinking on it?
Well, I understand everybody wants to eliminate at least from the state legislative level, they want to eliminate the income tax. However, because of my speech and talking with a number of accountants and people that are involved in the CPA level, their discussion with that is you can't just fully cut it all out all at once. There has to be a slowly moving process. You have to be able to add and subtract. It's a math going process. And, Governor Reeves, who I've had conversations with on press conferences and private as well, he talks about, well, Hunter, I'm a numbers man. And I said, well, I understand you being a numbers man, but you also have to be able to fill in the gaps of where it is. Where are those taxes going to come from? If you're taking that out, you have to be able to do something else with it. And I don't think, for instance, people in Mississippi don't want to have their property tax raised just because their income tax is nothing, just like Florida. That's one of the biggest problems with the state of Florida. The state of Florida has no income tax, but they have a huge property tax rate. Also, there's a possibility of a car tag rate. You know how much we pay in car tags in the state of Mississippi. There's got to be some equally matched plan. And at least I think with knowing the leaders, Jason White and Delbert Hoseman, they're pretty good at solving problems I think they can do it together with the collaboration themselves. However, is that going to be what the governor is going to signal for? I'm not so sure about that yet, Ricky.
It's going to be interesting to watch it because, as you pointed out, the House version eliminates it over time, over several years. It also addresses funding for MDOT. It also is attempting to begin to really address the state retirement system. It's a very
important. Those are important factors.
It's a very all-encompassing, complicated series of steps. And of course, the Senate version is a lot more conservative. I mean, it's going to reduce the state income tax, but it's not trying to kill all birds with one stone. So it would be interesting to see as they begin to really debate. Can they get to a resolution? And I'll tell you what I think the punchline is going to be on the other side, Hunter, as we continue this conversation with Hunter Dawkins. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting my friend Hunter Dawkins. And when we went to break, we were talking about the state legislatures, various and contrasting tax plans between the House and the Senate. And I said there's a bit of a punchline. The punchline to me is any negotiated outcome that the House signs up for would have to get anywhere to bridge the gap between them and the Senate would then require them to say income tax is going to be reduced and not eliminated. There's something about being able to say we eliminated the state income tax. Some will say for economic development and so on. Okay. So anything short of eliminating, would they ever sign up for it? That's why I think we might be at an impasse. But we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. A lot of discussion is going to happen.
Well, but just like we said, Ricky, I mean, if you're going to eliminate something, something else has to be raised because there has to be a production of revenue. You and I both know you can't say, well, we're going to have economic development come in and then nothing happens. Now, granted, Governor Reeves has done a pretty good job so far of bringing in some businesses with Amazon, with a bunch of the Northeast. I can't remember what it was, but a big $1 billion project in there. And there's other things going on. And, obviously with federal grant money down here through the seawalls and not through the seawalls, but through the marine life down here more than anything else. But there has to be some answers, and it can't just be, okay, well, we're going to do this, and then we don't think about what this is going to happen because the public is going to see that before.
No, they are. Now, listen, the time I spent in Louisiana, I spent some quality time with Governor Jindal while I was there, but they reduced some taxes in Louisiana, and what it resulted in was a nearly $1 billion deficit in Louisiana. And so when Governor Edwards came in, he had to deal with that, and the most recent governors had to deal with it as well. They're back in a better position. But the bottom line is, if you bet on the come, in other words, we're going to reduce taxes and hope that economic development is going to come enough to be able to offset that, and you're wrong in those estimates, you could have a big hole to get out of really rapidly. So we got a lot to watch as they uncover that. Southern Miss football, there's some excitement around it again. There's certainly excitement around basketball and baseball. Southern's staying in that conversation, aren't they?
They are. USM is doing a great job, of course, of the athletic department. And Dr. Joe Paul, the president, they're really setting a foundation. And I've told you, Ricky, before in the past, their top competition is down there in Mobile. That's where they have to win the battle because it's not only good for South Alabama, it's good for Southern. They get out there and put some competition, not only on the athletic ranks, but on academic ranks too as well.
Hey, I remember an editorial board meeting I had with Governor Haley Barbour once. He had just attended a school district meeting or met with some leaders in a school district in a poor section of Mississippi, okay, where their test scores were off the charts. And he came down and he said, you know what, people think just because it's a poor area that it would have poor grades. But what I really wanted to zero in on what the issue was, and he said the issue there was why they have such great student scores is because they got great leadership. They got great leadership. So I think that's what we're seeing in Southern Miss, especially in football. It will be interesting to watch that. How do they survive in the NIL world that you and I have talked about many times, in the transfer portal and all that? Well, having a coach that players want to play for, that might be one of the ways they succeed in this very complicated world that USM finds itself in, especially on the football side.
Well, and after the House ruling, after the House settlement comes through, and there's going to be really a change of not only NIL money, there's going to be transfer portal situations. And I really do agree from last year's SEC Media Days that I attended in Dallas with Commissioner Sankey, the SEC Commissioner Sankey, who pretty much put it out there, said there has to be limitations, like a cap limit like there is in the NFL, because we can't go on in college football with this amount of money, this amount of transfers, and it looks pretty surreal all the way across.
And no, it really does. It really does. Hey, real quick, we're almost out of time. New Orleans has got a coach, a great coaching staff. I'm excited about it. Now, Jeff Duncan's quick to say, hey, man, don't get too excited yet. We got a lot of work to do between now and the start of the season. But what do you think about the Saints draft? What do you think they're going to do?
The important thing is who they're going to draft. And, of course, in my opinion, and I'm sure that a lot of the Saints coaches feel the same way, the offensive line, the defensive line, those are going to be your first pick. They need to be there. But the second pick needs to be a quarterback. They need to find somebody that can solve the problems, that is a good developer for Kellen Moore.
I'm excited about Kellen Moore, man. I'm excited. When you look at his numbers at an offensive coordinator, even in areas where he was fired, he would be in the top. If you accumulate those numbers, he'd be in the top 5 of NFL coordinators in the NFL. I mean, this guy's bringing the real deal, and he's building a good staff.
He's a good one so far. Yes, sir.
We shall see. You can only react to what you have in front of you right now, and what we have right now is they're making some good decisions. So we'll see. We'll see if that all pans out. God bless you, my friend. It's been good to spend some time with you, Hunter.
Thank you much. And anything I can do for you guys, you let me know. We'll see how the elections come up here, and it'll be crunching down here pretty soon, April 1st, April Fool's Day.
It will. Hunter Dawkins from the Gazebo Gazette. Listen, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.